Today is May the 13th. What did Jesus say about his own second coming? Let's find out together as we read from a section called the Little Apocalypse during the Passion Week. Today we're going to begin to read the Little Apocalypse. I'd like you to read Matthew chapter 24, just to the 36th verse. You'll find parallels to that in Mark chapter 13, all the chapter, and in Luke 21:5 to the end of that chapter, 38. Now this section is called the Little Apocalypse because here Jesus kind of summarizes his teaching about his own second coming. As we read in this section, we're going to follow the Gospel of Mark, and it starts off, Jesus leaves the temple. He begins to walk back to Bethany where he'd been staying. They went to the Mount of Olives, the mount that held the garden known as Gethsemane. It looks like they spent quite a bit of time there. It must have been beautiful. The disciples say, "Teacher, isn't this building magnificent?" Now, we do read that the temple had been 38 years in building. History tells us that it was built in 39 years. So it was almost completed. So it would be very natural for someone to look at the buildings themselves, at the walls, at the structure itself. A brand new building, just beautiful, made of marble. They said, "Teacher, isn't this magnificent?" And Jesus says, Yeah, look at these great buildings. It'll be completely demolished. Not one stone left on top of the other. Herod's temple only lasted for about 40 years. Then it was destroyed. Jesus foretold the time that it would be destroyed. And he uses that to tell the time of the destruction of the entire world. He goes on to talk about the persecution that will happen just prior to his second coming. He goes on to talk about the object that causes desecration. In verse 14, he refers back to the book of Daniel that uses this very term, the object that causes desecration. He says, when that happens, the end is near. There's nothing you can do. Run. Just run. He goes on and he says in verse 22, there will be many false messiahs, and those false messiahs will have false prophets who will rise up. They'll perform signs and wonders, but they're intended to deceive. And then Jesus starts the final of his commandments here. Take heed. Watch the signs. Now, he talks about the fig tree. He says the fig tree, when it gives leaves, you know fruit is coming. Watch the signs of the times. The things that I predicted, the persecution, the open rebellion, the rejection, they'll become like the day of Noah. Keep watch. Take heed. Don't be caught unawares. Talks about a man who leaves his house in the care of a caretaker, and he tells the caretaker, be on the lookout for when I return. Verse 36, don't let him find you sleeping when he arrives without warning. I say to you what I say to everyone. Be on the lookout. Watch for him. People sometimes have a great deal of fear. They fear the mark of the beast. They fear that they'll be tricked. What Jesus says is that the signs are clear for anyone to see. You won't be deceived if you keep your eyes open and you look at the signs. We're to constantly be on guard. We're to constantly do what Jesus has told us to do. Obey his commandments. Follow his leading. Do what he's told us to do. If we do that, we'll not be deceived when the false Christs and the false prophets come. Be on the lookout. Keep your eyes open. It'll all work out in the end. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share to this devotional on whatever platform you use to listen to it. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. Enjoy this Sunday in the church of your choice.